Just want to take out the time, thank everybody, you know, that join us on a week-to-week basis as we have these conversations about life, relationships, and every other thing else. Uh, just to let everyone know, pre-orders are available. Pre-orders are available. Pre-orders for the Kindle are available. Still waiting on the paperback. You'll get a pre-order that here soon enough. But if you don't not connected to the page yet, go to our Facebook page. To the Facebook page, Can I Be a Man? Can I Be the Man? Letter from us to you. It's literally the title. Or you can look at KingNaib, KingNaib, and you'll be able to see the link from there. But as you have become accustomed to, we're about to get deep into things, get this conversation going like right now. So D, I know you got a lot going on, but what's our topic for today?
The topic of today is, do real men walk away from a fight? Now, this is not my topic, so I'm going to need Lee to elaborate about what kind of fight is it referring to.
Okay, this could be any kind of. This could be. That's a broad. That's a broad topic, but it could be anything from somebody doing something disrespectful to you. It could be, it could be over a loved one. It could be a justifiable or unjustifiable reason. But we know that men operate based on respect. When a man's respect is violated, that's usually the tipping point for it to get a response from him. But we also know that there's a balancing act to it as well, because picking and choosing your battles, the possibility of somebody's life being lost, somebody going to prison. So it's really a broad spectrum to me about, if you should walk away from a fight. Some people don't care about the consequences at the time because emotionally, right at that moment, they vested into either proving their point, establishing their territory, or establishing their mark of respect. Sometimes it's justifiable. It could be the same situation for two different people, and it'll be two different reactions, and they both can be justified. But I wanted to, see what everybody's thoughts would be on that, because I don't think it's a bulletproof answer to that.
Okay, I'm gonna go since my time is kind of limited today. I think Takara said fights in a relationship. He's speaking of in general, but I'm gonna start with a relationship. Definitely in a relationship. To me, it's a two-way street, and this is why I say that. On one end of the spectrum, of course, a real man should walk away from a fight in a relationship. But on the other hand, I'm a believer in, that cliche they say, happy wife, happy life. I'm like, to me, that's where the issue come into play, where a woman's feelings come before a man. I'm a strong believer in both our feelings and emotions are equally valid. But as far as in general, some of those who know me, they know my track record. I am a strong believer in a physical fight, depending on what you do. Oh, nah, man, shoot. I'm about to lump your forehead up. I'm like, I ain't got time. You're not about to disrespect me. You're not going to put your hands on me. And you're not going to continue to talk to me any kind of way. That's automatic no. Now, case in point, in my situation, I had to put hands and feet on somebody at work. I tried my best to leave it alone numerous times, but this was like the second occasion where he popped in the mouth and he technically assaulted. So I had to put hands and feet on the job. It was cool at first until he did damage to my property. So then, in retaliation, I had to beat him like a runaway slave. at the location. And for everybody that may think I'm bluffing or whatever, it is documented. You can definitely go Google it. Skybo Road, Applebee's, Fayetteville, North Carolina. I was the suspect / victim in the situation. But all jokes aside, it does depend on what it is. It depends on where your principle and your morals lie at the end of the day. But you're not going to touch. And you definitely not going to touch anybody that I care about.
You know, D, I think, yeah, I mean, from a relationship standpoint, I mean, I think we would all agree that if you got to be in a relationship where you got to lay hands on somebody, it's time to roll. So I think if that's not the general consensus, then, you know, it's time for some self-evaluation.
Okay, hold on.
We got somebody turning out.
I mean, logically speaking, we already know that you got to put hands on somebody in a relationship. That's a no-no. What about we speaking on terms of verbally? Because I had a conversation with somebody recently, and I was telling wrong this. I said, she told me, because I had told her, I said, there's two things that I go by. If I'm not going to put my hands on you, you're not going to put your hands on me. And if you don't want me to talk to you any kind of way, you're not going to talk to me in any kind of way either. And she always felt like, well, I mean, as a woman, I always thought that a man could handle it. I'm like, that doesn't mean anything at the end of the day. Once again, if you want to be respected, you have to give the same respect in return. It's just that simple.
Oh, definitely. I'm just talking about there. Sometimes I think sometimes if you look at somebody, it's in each situation is based on, if he's thinking logically, it's based on what does he have to lose. I think a lot of us, if we didn't have any children or whatever the case may be, we would approach situations one way. But if we've got family and children, we have to take them into consideration for everything that we do. That's why it's important not to really open up and share your business with everybody on social media and stuff like that. You start letting people know what you care about. You start letting people know what you love, what you appreciate, what you like, or whatever the case may be. You sharing your. That's why I'm really against sharing my wife and my kids on social media and stuff like that, because somebody always want to try to take you out. Or if you're trying to do well, you got the crab in the barrel syndrome. So you got to be really, really careful in how you, and when we talked about this earlier too, about men being able to have a place where they can come to and they can be vulnerable, because you cannot be vulnerable out here in these streets. You got to be buttoned up, you got to be sewed up, and you got to be able to, you got to be a mystery in some instances to these people out here in the streets. And you can't walk around and try to convince people you're a nice guy if they think you're a mean guy. That might work to your advantage if you're not a fighting type of person. You got to make sure that you are buttoned up when you go out here in these streets, because folks will try you, especially if you where they want to be or you have something that they want. They will try to push your buttons.
What's your thoughts, Chris?
Well, this is one of those questions that typically have to be addressed case by case. Now, as far as an argument in general, if there is no way, form, shape, form, or fashion that you can relay logic to a person to the point that they could understand it, then yes, you might as well just go ahead and just walk away. But, I mean, just like we said earlier, I mean, realistically, different things happen in arguments, and they can easily be heated before you can actually calm yourself, because the right trigger words are said or the right actions just happen, and you just stuck with having to respond. And then at that point, it is, okay, I have to use the lowest level of force to equalize the situation. But generally, as far as arguments are concerned, you have to get your point across first, because there's always sensible people that are witnessing what's going on. And anything that follows, if you do walk away, you have some type of witness to your character, at least by what you displayed in the moment. This goes with personal relationships, intimate relationships, friendships, so forth, so on. But if a person can accept truth and logic, then it's honestly a waste of your time at that point. because you're going in with what do I have to lose against do I lose or do I want to lose? And typically the most ignorant individual inside of the argument is more worried about losing the argument than worried about what is there to be lost that's actually of any worth. And it's typically it turns to the worst because of pride and ego. And that's pretty much the biggest thing. It's just like I was saying, a man holds his respect high. But along with that, if that man has a high mind of pride, then there could easily be an issue, a problem that can arise real quick. So, yeah. Real men run away from an argument, but you have to assess the situation. I'll just leave it at that and make the best options.
If I could say, can I say something?
Feel free.
All right, and then the other aspect is relationships, okay? All right, so, you know, it's no secret that women in general are more apropos to want to get married than men. I'm not saying that all women are that way. I'm not saying that all men are that way. The reason that it is difficult for a man to commit to a woman is for this very vulnerable reason, because this is the person that you want to be with, to be vulnerable with. And sometimes in relationships, women are asking to hold this position with you, okay? This position where you're going to be able to, that's going to be your companion. This is a person you're going to be able to confide in, or whatever the case may be. And sometimes what happens is you get a man to let his guard down because a man is so busy in the world holding his guard up. You find a man and he finally lets his guard down for you. You drag him out into the water, and then it's like sometimes you take advantage of that man and you leave him without a life jacket. You leave him without a raft. You just leave him out there to sink or swim. And what he's looking for is, and that goes into getting in a man's face and trying to punk him, trying to provoke him, resting on the fact that men aren't supposed to do this and they aren't supposed to do that, and men aren't supposed to hit a woman or whatever the case may be. We talk about emotions being something that men have just like women have, and then to be in his face and trying to provoke him or hitting him or doing things like that. Men don't typically, when it's a domestic violence situation, men don't typically go to the police because they're already battling their pride and their ego. I've been in situations like that where you know, I'm on the defense and I'm battling my pride in terms of the correct protocol of what I should do, simply because I'm feeling a threat to my manhood if I feel like I'm taking certain measures, even though I shouldn't feel that way. But that's what I mean by the man's pride is his kryptonite, just like a woman's emotions are her kryptonite in most senses. So I just wanted to say that, because a lot of times men will find themselves dragged out in a relationship situation. They'll find themselves isolated with that woman, and he's looking for that woman to protect him too, and she might take advantage of that situation and use that to her advantage because she has him out to that island. I wanted to know what you guys thought about that, because that literally happens on the man's side too.
Okay, so relationship-wise, first thing is you have to understand the type of man that you're dealing with. All right, that period. So you need to know and understand your significant other in that aspect. What I mean by that is you need to know how he will potentially respond. You know, sometimes the response that you think you're gonna get might not be the response that you get. That you be out here. I've seen situations where women are straight being disrespectful to another man, and then when he ready to raise up, you looking to your man to defend you. And then next thing you know, he cussing you out. Yeah, happens a lot. You know and understand. Really. I think relationship wise, when we're talking about each other, it needs it. Well, I'm gonna tell you now. If I get to the point where I feel like, or I even have the thought of putting hands on you, we done. We done. And it has literally went to a completely different level at that point. I feel like, or even think about putting hands on you, I don't need to be there no more. 10 years, 20 years, 50 years. It's time for me to go. Take a break. Period. But some of the stuff is instigated. And I've been in them type relationships before. It really have. Especially when I was younger. Punch holes in walls and some of everything else. And it's still coming. Still coming. But the moment that you raise a hand towards them, they're looking at you like you the most awful person in the world. But when trying to walk away, trying to de-escalate and everything else, you steady coming. That's not right. That's not right. We can deal with our men and help them in that area. But on the flip side, y'all need to do the exact same thing. When you see that temperature rising or whatnot, you need to be able to calm your emotions and de-escalate. Simple as that. But in reference to the original question on whether a real man is able to walk away from a fight, I agree with the sentiments that have been presented so far, and that is really case by case. You know, there's so many things nowadays that you have to consider. You know, because people don't fight no more. Let's just be honest. People don't fight no more. Everybody shoots.
Mm.
Don't know how to shoot, but they'll shoot. As simple as that. Everybody know boxing, love boxing. Or not, I don't mind. I don't mind it at all. You know, but most times our men have become so sensitive, right? So sensitive that they don't know how to take a loss.
That's great.
They don't know how to take a loss. Like literally.
Participation award.
Okay, so you took a L. You took a L. Okay, that's fine. You took a L. You did what you needed to do. At least you pinched them, right? But there's no need, you know what I'm saying, to carry it beyond that. But the reality of it is that whole factor of not having that male presence in our lives the way that we need has made a lot of our responses more feminine than masculine. That need to get revenge, holding grudges and things of that particular nature. Nah, that's not a
So let me
trait.
ask you something, King.
What's up?
So do you think the real reason for gang violence or the real reason for so much homicide that's going on today is because of that factor right there, that that our children or our people today have not been taught how to handle a loss or the value of a loss being a lesson?
Yes, that's it right there.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly. That's exactly
Take
it.
that pride, bro.
That's exactly it. You know, I can respect a person more, right? I can respect a man more if we went toe to toe, right? And after it was over, that's exactly it. It was over. That's how it used to be. You know what I'm saying? When I was coming up, don't get me wrong, I had them few people that every time we seen each other, it went up. But I had more of, okay, we done got it in, went blow for blow, or not. Next thing you know, we friends. Reason being is because there was in the midst of that battle, a respect. A respect was literally born, made in the heat of battle. But we don't
So the
have
class participation, so the class participation award has inadvertently made us as a people to detest losing.
exactly. Exactly. You know, I think that's the reason why I love the sport boxing so much. You know what I'm saying? And watching my kids do it. Even though my kids win a lot, you know, them losses, whether I feel like it was genuine or not, they learn something from it. You know, that's the reason why you see a lot of people are afraid to pursue their dreams. Because there is no fight in them. You know what I'm saying? The reality of it is you're never gonna go into a fight and not get hit. You're just not. Unless you hit it, unless it's one of them one hitter quitters or whatnot, at some period point in time, you're gonna get hit. And that's that's the part right there. People are afraid to get hit. So even when it comes to life, right? People don't want to pursue their dreams and things of this particular nature because they're afraid of failure, getting hit, versus that individual that's already going into this thing knowing that, hey, I'm gonna get touched. All I gotta do is stand my ground and keep moving. If I get knocked down, let me get back up and keep going and keep going. You know, and for us men, I don't understand it. I really don't. Because one of our primary jobs is to protect. If you can't protect yourself, how can you protect your family? Even if you do got a gun, unless you carry that joint on your hip 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you might be put in a position to where you're going to physically have to defend yourself or your family. I never understood it. I never got it. I still don't to this day. And there's nothing wrong with it. I'd much rather see two kids over here duking it out. And then after it's done, they go about their business. And then to see two kids over here shooting at each other.
But there ain't no winners.
At all. At all.
One dead, one in jail, both lives lost.
That is it. That is it. Yeah.
You know, I learned a lot. You talk about if I may say this, man, I'm sorry, but you talk about boxing and how there's so many lessons to be learned from that. And I talk about football because if you really notice it, for an example, if you follow football, a running back get 100 yards. That's a great game for a running back. But 100 yards ain't nothing but pretty much 7.5 carries, a quarter, and 4 yards of play. And a lot of times he getting hit and he falling forward. And that's life too. Life is about not being afraid to fall, but fall forward. And you're still progressing as you fail. All right.
I agree. I agree 100%. You know, all sports, in my opinion, are good life teachers. It's just for me, when we talking about boxing, majority of the trials and tribulations that we go through, just life in general. You come into this world alone, you leave this world alone. And the vast majority of the battles that we fight are alone. Don't get me wrong, you have your parents, your mentors, your friends, you got all these people that's in your corner, you know what I'm saying, rooting you on. It might even be times where they'll be side by side fight with you. But the vast majority of those battles are just on your own. And you need to learn how, especially as a man, how to fight some of them battles on your own. So, like I said, I believe there's nothing wrong with a man walking away from a fight. I've done it, especially nowadays. I have nothing to prove. If you're not disrespecting my family or trying to harm my family, wife, friends, things of that particular nature, what for? In reference to me, as long as you keep your hands to yourself or don't come into my space and I feel like you're going to try and harm me or something of that nature, what for? I have no reason. Nothing at all.
It seems like there's been a misplacement when it comes to our strength because we were never, especially in our culture, we were never this undisciplined with our nature. Like our strength was used to protect, provide, but we've turned it into just straight war all the time. And a lot of the issues that we have within our community itself is because of these titles that we give ourselves. You're a warrior. You're this, you're that, you're a queen, you're a king. And we adopt that mindset and we act ignorantly because nothing about what we were doing before in nature was bad. I watched a video earlier today of a female that was saying that she wanted this man to be able to do all these things and that be as far as a traditional role. But as far as her, it was a whole nother story. She didn't realize that she was asking for a man to be able to get her everything that she felt she needed and wanted. And she just enjoyed it. The same woman made her mama like a slave. And then come to find out a couple minutes later, her mom had kids from two separate men and her biological father took her in and took care of her. But her mom was a slave because she took care of house. And I mean, realistically, matter of fact, Kevin Summers was saying in that same video that the baby boomers were pretty much that jacked up generation. And you could argue that, but honestly, I would say the females of that generation were probably the biggest problem because the men have never really stepped out of the same roles that they had. It's more popular now that we have so many boys out here that pretend to be men that don't hold up the responsibilities that they should. But at the same time, the toxicity that has entered into our community on the female side has destroyed everything within our culture because they see themselves as goddesses and they pretty much present themselves as though they should be worshiped because they want everything that they want and need without the work, but expect the man to provide all of that and do all the work because they lost respect for the role that they actually had, which is one of the highest roles in the house, especially for the kids before the age of 5. Because me personally, I look at my role in the house and I'm like, I know once my kids get to a certain age, I'm going to be doing most of the work in their rearing and developing them. And part of that is teaching them how to maintain that self-discipline, not to be argumentative. But a lot of people just lost the understanding of what a true fight is. And it really doesn't even ever have to get physical. It's always a mental thing. We react physically by mental impulses. but we glorify the things that we do that are wrong because it's been widely accepted by society. That's sad. We've adopted some mess that was never a part of us. And guess what? The same stuff that was given to us became something that was attached to us, that now people look at that as it's a part of us. And being the most studied individuals on this planet, everybody that's studying us accepted that and took it as strength. Everything that gets attached to us in our culture begins to get this title of it representing strength because it's tied to us. We are people that represent strength in many facets. So when we take on something that is not us or of us, and then it is now defined or identified as something that is us, and people see that and they see how great we are as a people, they adopt it. We have let too much stuff into our culture that's not our culture. And people love the things that we do and create, and they adopt that. So they take back the things that they give us because it now has a new moniker, a new title, a new person, a new character. Because we, as much as we are warriors, we are the best peacekeepers. We have the most love, we're the most forgiving, so forth and so on. Our nature is practically damn near perfect, but we've allowed ourselves to be sabotaged. And these are discussions that we have to have because of that, because we need to get ourselves back in order.
Yes, I 100% agree with you.
I appreciate that, bro.
Yeah, man, it's just that it's so sad because this is what whitewashing was all about, making us forget who we were. And if you listen to the typical person talk about our history, for instance, us brown people, when you listen to people talk about our history, where do they always want to start from? They always want to start from slavery. And it's like, my gosh, man, we've got more history than 400 years. Like, does it ever, if we can just get out of our emotions, does it ever occur to you, when were things going well for us? At what point in history? And we live in an information age today. So anything that we want to know is available to us. And I'm not saying take one source as the credible gospel. What I'm saying is, double check the sources, make sure it's 2 or 3 sources saying the same thing. My mom always told me if one person telling you something, it's one thing. But if 2 or more people are telling you the same thing and they don't know each other and they are not connected and they're not vested in each other, then there is some truth to it and you need to analyze that. And so we have right at our fingertips information. That's the problem today, why you have it's censorship. You have so much censorship going on today because once upon a time, you were not considered educated unless you went to a university. And now you can learn more outside of a university than you do at a university. And you got to remember who your adversaries and your oppositions are. Why would your oppositions want to teach you something that's going to put you ahead? You have to think about these things. And every situation is not a bulletproof situation, but you have to start thinking about the information that's available to you. It's no one's responsibility to give you that information. Just like KingNaib said about boxing and the issues and the problems that we face in our lives usually and typically are one-on-one, it's up to everybody in their general selves to work out their own salvation. So it's your responsibility. If you like going to church, I know people that'll go to church on Sundays or whatever the case may be, and they won't crack their Bible open again until next Sunday when the pastor tell them to open to that. And it's just so much information that's right there. You shouldn't be handicapped to somebody spoon feeding you the information that you need when the information is right there And like you said on the last episode, King, stop being lazy.
I agree. So, as men, right, it's a question that I'm gonna pose. As men, how do we get ourselves back on track? What do we do to carve out these things that have been imparted into us that was never supposed to be a part of us?
We got a whole lot of reteaching to do. If it was at least possible, especially for a lot of these fathers, I would admonish them to get in contact with their kids and teach them truth as best as they can. The hard part about that is a lot of people don't have relationships with their fathers. They're absent or they have no way to get in contact with them. We need to be able to have our men in our community be able to teach our youth. And at this point, a lot of these adults, because those that are of my generation and before are just as jacked up. It's sad to see so many people that's 30, 40, 50 years old with the same mindset of a child. There has to come at some point, there has to come a time where we can actually re-educate ourselves and stop all this argumentative stuff. We spend too much time arguing about what everybody else has done that's affected us, that we never sit down with each other and figure out what we're going to do to rebuild ourselves and our communities. Because if you think about it, we've been successful even in times where everything and everybody was against us and attacking us, lynching us, and so forth and so on, because we had community. The more they beat on our community and the more it dwindled down, the more problems we had coming to us. And now we're in the state that we are right now, to where we just echo ignorance because we lack community. And we keep using the word as if we have a community. We say, let's do something in the Black community, yada, 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 yada. We have none. There is no established community for our people at all. Everything that we do, even when we buy Black, we don't have a community to put it in. It just goes right back. Because, I mean, when we buy Black, guess what? That business has to go out and buy from everything else that's not Black to even sustain. It can't even put anything back into the community. We have no community. The only thing that we have as a community is just us coming into the same place and talking and having some fun. We have no established community. And until we get that, we can't do much of anything for our people or ourselves. But I guarantee you this, whenever we do build community, it's going to change the world, because everything that we do benefits not just us, but everybody else. Right now, we're just benefiting everybody else because we have nothing to benefit ourselves. So we can't even attack the psychosocial issues, the mental issues, physical issues, or any issues, because we have nothing of our own right now. We are highly intelligent. We have access to all these things, yet we have yet to build a community, but everybody has these ideas. And not one of these ideas is good as BBOC. I'm just going to put that out there.
So I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. One of the first things that we need to do is really change our environment. We have to create an environment to where, one, we can heal, two, we can grow together, and then three, where we can progress as a people, period. And that is not going to happen in the structure that we are in right now. It's just not. Which, believe it or not, is part of the reason why we're doing what it is that we're doing right now.
Yep.
Big part of it right now. You got to get the conversation going. Start putting a little seed into your head. Or not, mend this relationship between men and women. Put an end to that Cold War. We got to. We can start right now.
Yep.
And stuff that we're having or whatnot. Our hope and desire is that once we end these lies, you're going and you're talking to your significant other. You're talking to someone else about these things. Get the conversation going.
Mm-hmm.
honestly, with it being said, I remember yesterday I said this, and I believe that this is one of the biggest issues now. I don't even think it's just strictly between men and women, society as a whole. Once we get back into telling people the truth and quit being so passive and trying to get everybody to make it shut up in our true beliefs. I'm not talking about just opinions as in how we want to go about our lives. But once we start going back to looking at things from a positive moral standpoint, the world will start coming together a whole lot quicker.
Thanks. That's the main
But
thing.
it's always one of the things of you cannot tell anybody whether they're doing, well, I ain't gonna say right. You definitely can't tell somebody that they're doing something wrong. Definitely can't tell them that. So people be so quick to say, judge not that ye be not judged.
They never go past that statement where it tells you how to judge.
They don't go past that statement, and then they don't go past the statement of no sin is greater than another sin. That's the biggest one.
And it's funny to me that is the most popular thing that you hear. Everybody's quick to pull that scripture out soon as somebody's trying to hold them accountable.
Only God can judge me.
Well, they love that.
That's probably the one thing, that a lot of these so-called celebrities and high figures have destroyed us with, because we have been taught we're supposed to judge righteously. And we're told we're held accountable for being in order before we even judge another person. But everybody wants to say, judge not lest we be judged, just like D said. But they never go past that, where it goes and gives instructions on how to judge. Where it tells you,
judge the man by his works. That's definitely what it says.
because we got over words for the word judge between the Hebrew and Greek.
Let me, you know what? This is so funny because two things. Number one, we talk about we don't have any community. That's why they call everybody's community a neighborhood, and they call our community or whatever a hood, because we damn sure ain't neighborly. Okay. The second thing here is when we start talking about, you run across somebody and they always talking about, don't judge me, don't judge me, don't judge me. And I just want everybody to just really think about what they're saying when they say that. If we had a world where nobody judged nobody, then we wouldn't need any good judgment, would we? I mean, it wouldn't be a thing. If we didn't judge anyone, it's about, and the Bible doesn't even, if you go by the Bible doesn't even talk about don't judge anybody. It just talks about judging people correctly.
Yep.
That's what's missing here. You are free to judge whomever you want to judge, but the same measure in which you judge someone is going to be the same measure that you're going to be judged. So you need to make sure that you have the correct protocol when you're making a judgment, and it is for you to judge. If you don't judge, listen, if I had somebody, let me ask anybody this. If there was a pedophile out there, right, would you look at that pedophile and say, man, I ain't going to judge you. Go on and watch my kids so me and my wife can go out to dinner tonight? Hell no, you wouldn't do that. You would not do that. Why? Because you're making a good judgment, and the judgment is based on the work. You don't want people to judge you a certain way. Then you got to do things the right way, whether people are watching you or whether people are not watching you, because everything that's done in the dark is going to come to light. So you want people to judge you in the manner in which you want to be judged, then that is the measure, then that is the very thing that you need to make sure that is in shape when you are living your life on a consistent basis.
Yep. Very much so.
I find it interesting that based off of the last three statements, the biggest thing that always jumps up is there is always going to be a pointing towards accountability. And that is the one thing that everybody runs away from. I also find it interesting because I keep saying it all the time. Like I've more recently in the past few weeks been watching a lot of the Kevin Samuels videos. And when I first started watching, I was like, man, this bro is just straight on him. But he holds people accountable, men and women. I've seen a video where he was going in on this dude. I was like, damn, because he went harder on the dude than he was on any of them women all put together that I've seen. But nobody wants to be held accountable. And that's a big problem. A lot of our issues that we have is because we don't want to be held accountable, and we only want to be seen based off our own personal justifications, opinions, reasons, and excuses. And I'm not trying to sound like a woman basher, but you can literally generalize women because they all do the same thing. Every time you watch a conversation with a woman, she's always trying to say, well, I think this, I feel this, I don't agree with this, I feel like this. It's not about what you think or what you feel. What is the truth? And where do you stand in it? Can you hold yourself accountable? Or are you just going to accept every excuse that everybody has provided for the past 100 years? Matter of fact, like the changes within the past almost 60 years. Let's go there. Because after the 50s, I mean, you already see the growth of the mess that came, that was introduced through the 60s. It was planted then, it's been watered and nurtured, and we seeing the fruits of it today. And we're gathering the harvest.
Yep, and the harvest is not good.
It's right, but it ain't for us. It ain't the right fruit. That's poison.
Mm-hmm.
We're harvesting poisonous fruit right now, because what was supposed to be bad, what is bad, what is not good, what goes against nature, is now being preached as what should be accepted. No. And honestly, it should be just as private as everything else that's actually of nature. And stop trying to force things upon people because you want to feel accepted. Our society and our government has coaxed everybody and has just given in to all this mess to make it comfortable for everybody. You can't grow in comfort. You need that friction in order to grow. And you need to know what's right and what's wrong. If you want to sit here and try to make excuses for everything in your life because you know what's wrong and you just want people to accept it, you have not lived life and you have not matured yet. You are still a child. We got grown behind men and women out here trying to put stuff out on people while attacking others, saying, oh, no, I don't want to hear what you got to say because what you believe is against me. No, it's really not. What I believe is all according to nature. This is how things work. Because you choose to live different from that, that's you. That's your personal thing. Don't try to force it on us. You live your life and let us live ours. But don't try to change nature to appease your feelings. But let me say that, and guess what? Oh, he's just a problem. He's a yada yada, conspiracy, and so forth and so on, because you can't talk about truth today. Everything that's going on right now when you're dealing with politicians and so forth, it doesn't speak anywhere to nature. It's all about feelings, emotions, and opinions. We have an overly feminized government. And it's sad to say that because women feel offended by saying that, because guess what? There are real women that understand what femininity really is, but what it has turned to, we had a problem.
Man, you know, Chris, everything that you said right there was so on point. And I think about everything in the brown community in totality. And when I think about how do you button it up into or try to button it up into one thing, and what I button it up to is, man, it's been a tremendous job done to us on self-hatred. It's like we would prefer to have straight hair instead of having curly hair. We would prefer not to be in the home. I'm talking about ladies. We would prefer not to be in the home, and we would rather be outside of the home. Men, we would rather be home than we would being out there working. And everything has just been it's been a pretty bang up job on us in terms of getting us to like what we're supposed to hate and hate what we're supposed to like. It's just and that's why we're in this society now where people say, well, you know, the Supreme Court is one of the highest courts in the land. And I would beg to differ. The court of public opinion is the highest court in the land. You don't even need to get to the Supreme Court. You don't need to even get there. Once you are in the court of public opinion and the opinion is out on you, that's worse than any verdict, because that boxes you in and imprisons you mentally, because everybody has this perception of you now, whether the facts have been laid out there or not. Even I've seen situations where people have been accused of things and come to find out there is no evidence or no substantial evidence that support what is being said about a person, and that person's life is completely ruined. And this is the grain that we're going to have to go against if we're going to see the changes that we need to see when we're trying to do the things that we need to do. And we're just going to have to go against that grain. And those people that are, it's like the women are going to have to separate themselves from the undeveloped women. And if the undeveloped women are not trying to develop, then it has to be, okay, I'm going to see you later. I'll come back for you later, or whatever the case may be. And men going to have to do the same thing. We're going to have to separate ourselves from underdeveloped men. And I want to call them something else, but I've been told that that's probably not the wisest thing to call them. But we're just going to leave it at undeveloped, because we're undeveloped because we're not getting the proper nourishment from the areas that we're supposed to get the proper nourishment. And so what else can we expect?
Man, I'm outside of my element today. That was everything that need to be said, because that's what it is. Because in this world, it ain't got nothing to do with justice. Everything in this day and age is about popular opinion. Even our social media, no, I ain't even go into social media. Our mainstream media, our news, our magazines, our newspapers, every form of journalism isn't journalism. It's popular opinion, to the point that it affects everything that should be done in accordance to law in the judicial system, And that's what we got to deal with today. There is no justice. That's why we have no peace. It's all about who has the most power, money, and the strongest opinion that's accepted widely. Ain't no room for truth out here. But say something
make room.
You just said and watch what happens to us. That's the problem that we have today. Accountability is lacking all the way up the chain, all the way up. There's always somebody that's moving stuff around to benefit themselves. And it's everywhere. It's in our military. It's in our politics. It's everywhere. And that's why I'm so adamant about anything above or outside of our community that's governing everything, because they don't give a damn about us. I'm outside my element.
Hold on. You can't blame that necessarily on politics, especially within our community. You got to blame that on people who go against, I ain't even gonna say religion, believing in the higher power. So, you know, when it comes to the Bible, people always be so quick to, well, the Bible says this, and you know, we have all these different versions of the Bible and stuff of that nature. I'm like, people twist the Bible into what they want to support, whether something is right or wrong.
Our
So-
government has done that itself by twisting up scripture, talking about respecting the governing authorities and so forth and so on. We got people that use the Bible that don't even live by the Bible for their advantage. You don't
Yep.
agree with any of the things in the Bible, but you want to come at me about the Bible. How is that even a thing? You want to use the Bible when it works for you.
Yep.
And we run into that all the time. Everybody does it. And the sad part is the ones that's supposed to be living by the Bible that's in these church houses all the time don't live by it themselves. And they misquote it because they don't even understand what truth is. And it's sad. I can't stand it. Man, don't get me on one today, because if we get into this book, I'm telling you, it's going to be a whole, and I ain't even got to touch the scripture. We can go straight nature. What's right is what's right. I don't care how you feel. Get in your emotions. That's what I love for you to do, because I love to fight. This is, see, as far as the question is, I'm a man right here. I'm gonna argue logic, reason, truth, and nature. I don't like to walk away from fights because I have the patience and the perseverance to go through it. You can hit me all you want to, but you're going to get all of these truth hands. I walk 24/7 in my house. This thing is on me. That's the last thing you got to worry about. That is the last thing you got to worry about, because when I get to speaking, I'm going to hurt your soul.
Got it on me.
I forget it's on me because I throw hands if these words don't work and you want to try me.
Hey, I apologize. I'm gonna choose to be ignorant.
Man, you better keep talking that
Hey,
talk.
I'm about this. Win, lose, or draw. Win, lose, or draw. I don't care, man. We go fight.
Man, like
I don't have any. I don't have any in me to let another man talk to me crazy.
yeah.
I talk to you one time. I tell you to settle down one time, man. After that, win, lose, or draw, you gonna come see.
Yeah.
And when I come see, now I ain't gonna front. This is documented as well.
Mm-hmm.
I come to your house. If I don't know where you live, I stalk you enough to find out where you live. I come to your house.
And see, I'm dealing with something right now with an individual. He thinks that I got people following him. I care less about what this person is doing. I'm like, guess what? You digging your own grave right now. I got a domestic violence protective order served against me that he got denied on a bunch of lies. My thing is, okay, I'm gonna meet you with the same reciprocity. See, you gotta use your mind when you're doing stuff. Don't sit here and try to make up some bullshit because you feel some type of way. That's the problem with a lot of these effeminate males, because they want to get into their emotions. They spend a lot of their times around women and they want to work the same way. If you ain't learned something, if you don't do things by the law, don't put yourself in the ring, because guess what? I study well, and I will come for you with the same reciprocity, the same strength and power that you want to come at me for, especially when I do not provoke you and you attack first. Oh, you open it to all of the arsenal. I ain't got to put hands on you. I ain't got to touch you. I ain't got to send nobody after you. I'll take you to the law and let them deal with you and embarrass you. Because I expect everybody to come to me as a man first. Handle the stuff at our level. Be real about your stuff. That's all you got to do. It ain't got to get stupid. It ain't got to turn to violence. But if you can sit down and have a reasonable conversation with somebody, be accountable and responsible, and argue logically, truth, you got my respect. But when you jump bold and jump stupid, you're going to meet everything that you want. And I'm coming with all the truth that I need, because I ain't got to touch it or do anything to you, but you're going to learn today.
Wait.
But that's the way that we got to be, because we were warriors by mind. We everything that we do physically, it first starts here.
Hey, I just want to say, if you don't touch, I will.
You know what's so funny about that? I made that statement. I was like, you know what? I don't know who knows what, who does what. I can't control what somebody does, because one thing is, people will respect and defend your honor, whether it be literally by literature or physically. You never know who's watching you. When you do good things for good people, people will protect your honor in any way, shape, form, or fashion. They might even go to you to the with the law. But then you have those others, because I didn't live the street life, but I was around people in the street. I I have stories of things that I've done that I'm not so proud of. But at the same time, I know that those people that's connected with me, they respect me for the man that I am because I didn't go to the lowest level. But I can't control what people do. And you never know who's looking out for who. And those people will get physical. No matter how much I want to come to you as a man and be respectful or handle stuff with the law, you never know who's out there. So a man walking away from an argument, yes, I could do that. But guess what? If I walk away from the argument, who's to say that the person that saw that ain't going to come for you and you disappear? Now, when the law come for me about some crazy stuff or come to y'all about some crazy stuff, you don't know nothing about it because it wasn't nothing to you. It was like, it wasn't even an issue. That's why you have to remain logical and respectful. Be accountable for what you're doing. But people don't understand that anymore because it's not really taught. And it's sad. I got to go to court this coming Monday because of this issue. Off of somebody's lies. Somebody that I keep trying to go to as a man. And that's the way that we should be when we're dealing with arguments and disagreements. We should be able to come to each other and hash these things out at the lowest level. It should never come to this. Because that's the way I work. I come to you peacefully. But once you open that can of worms, you open to all of the arsenal.
Quick question. In the words of the great Miss Seeley, did you beat him? Hey, man, hey, sometimes you just got to beat somebody, man. I hate to be ignorant, man. Sometimes you just got to beat them, bro.
As much as I would love to do something like that, this is one of those things, and I guess it's my nature. No matter how much I may be just urged to do things, I always try to handle it at the lowest level as responsibly as I can. But if I ever speak about it, and that's the reason why I never really share anything that I have going on in my personal life, because the way I speak, I could charge people up and they would do stuff without me even provoking them or telling them to go do it. Because they have that much respect for you. Because when you're a good person and you do things the right way, people respect that. And they are highly offended when people come after people like that. Because you're like a defenseless lamb, even though you're a lion. But they'll come at you like a pack of hyenas, wolves, or whatever to defend your honor. Like no man should have to go out and be like, hey, y'all, okay, I'm going through something, but leave these people be. Don't mess with them. They just stupid. You shouldn't have to do that.
Lee, I don't know what you just started. But you just riled the whole panel up. Well, woo.
Man, don't do that. Come on, Lee.
Turn them loose.
Sensible. I'm trying to keep everything. Let's just relay some good information. Don't get me charged up because I can go for days on some stuff.
Beat them, bro. Beat them.
We must get some Pastor Troy or something playing in the background.
God isn't through with me yet. Beat them.
Working on me. I'm trying to tell you, hey, well, like I said, I keep my thing on me and I never use it. Never had to. I try my best to let my words do everything it needs to be. And if it can't go to that, I'll go to the law. But it never escalates beyond that because if I can't do it myself, the law will do it for me. Because I want peace. But in my younger days, I had to struggle because I'm trying to tell you, when I was in Germany, there's been many niggas. I don't know.
I want peace too. But sometimes you got to give them a piece of these, man.
But I hate doing it because you think about it. When you get pushed to that moment, it's almost like you at that borderline of black. I remember one time coming out the club in Germany. I was literally probably 100 yards from the gate. I don't know what was going on. Some dude was just acting stupid. I never get into altercations, but this dude was egging me on. I don't know what it did. I wound up dropping this dude on the sidewalk and I beat dust out of him. Like, y'all told you ain't want this. It didn't have to come to that. And part of the reason why it happened like that was because I was a little intoxicated.
So we talk about peace all the time, and what people fail to realize is if you want peace, sometimes there must be war. And so we we can't argue. We can't say, hi, guys, gosh, we want peace, and then everybody say, you know what, that's a good idea. No, you're gonna have some fools. You know, everybody should know that if you're not a goon, that you might know somebody that's a goon, or you might know several people that's a goon. But when you operating in your emotions, you ain't thinking about none of that stuff. So that's why if we are gonna have what we want as peace, there is going to be, so to come full circle, there is going to be some war. And and you know what? Just like you, I'm trying to generalize it. A lot of people have guns on them, and a lot of people have guns on them, and they're looking for an opportunity to use it. But I'm more like thinking of terms of you, Chris. If I'm reading this correctly, I want my gun to be, at worst case scenario, I don't want to use it, but I want my gun to be a neutralizer. So now, you have a gun, I have a gun, we got a disagreement or whatever the case may be, that should neutralize the situation so I can, pleasantly beat your ass. Okay. And if you so happen to beat my ass, which I like my odds in a one-on-one, I like my odds in a two-on-one fight. So if you just so happen to beat my ass, I'm not a participation award ass nigga. Sorry. I'm not a participation award type of a person. I hate losing, but there is so much to extract from losing. A lot of times when we won games, I remember when we won a national championship, man, we won 7 games by 7 points or less. We were making so many mistakes during the games. And when you win, you don't think about the things that you got to work on as much as when you lose. Yep. You can lose just by making a couple of mistakes, and they can be life-changing lessons that if you take heed of those things, you can learn from. But we skip the lesson of loss that is so ready to give us, and we want to move over to vengeance. That's why I walk around this day the way I walk around, because I do understand that there are people that they're going to be in their emotions and they're not going to be thinking straight or whatever the case may be. And yes, my first line of defense is, brother, let's talk and let's reason. Let's work this thing out. But if the situation escalates itself or whatever the case may be, then I can't be concerned about jail time and I can't be concerned about death. Because if I can't live in my ideals of peace, then I personally don't want to live. I don't want to live if I can't have peace. So if I've got to fight to have peace, then that's what I have to do. But please understand that's not my first line of defense. But also, please do not test me, because it doesn't have to come to that, but I am ready if it does come to that, if that makes sense.
Makes plenty of sense. One of the things you were saying kind of made me think about something. We need to position ourselves to whereas if we have to make the worst possible decision and the worst outcome happens, then our families are taken care of. Whether it be life insurance, whether it be the greatest investments and savings or whatever. But we need to get beyond that point, because honestly, we shouldn't even, okay, I'm gonna back up. We was talking about war. There's many different types of warfare. Many people hear about war and they're thinking about the physical fight, gunfight. They don't think about nuclear, chemical, biological, and so forth. They don't think about, okay, I'm at the highest part of the river, such as like with the natives and so forth and so on, where I'm gonna cut off your water supply because you're beneath us and we can control the water to your community, or taking your food, so forth and so on. There's different ways to have war to affect people to get a result. But people, when they hear war, they always think about, oh, gunfight, gunfight. There's many ways to war. And war is just an amplified version of an argument. That's just another step into it. But where are we situated in that we know if anything happens to us, our families are taken care of, which goes back to the fact of me saying that we don't have a community, because guess what? When we had community, we took care of each other. We knew each other. We can go to our neighbor's house. Hey, I'm short on sugar. You got some sugar I can borrow? Oh, you got some squash? I mean, we was like, I got a garden in my backyard. I was send some squash, some cucumbers, some collards, cabbage, whatever, to anybody around here because I got more than I can eat. We took care of each other. We were a natural, breathing, functioning community that took care of each other. We knew each other. We were just who we were. And we've lost that because we've adopted all the mess that society says is the end thing now. Our women have been desecrated. Their minds have been desecrated because they've adopted this bullshit.
Yep.
Bullshit doctrine that they've adopted. Plain and simple. I'm not biting my tongue no more. I don't even care who's offended. Yes, I'm a
You can't be.
I'm not confined by words, because guess what? That's the whole thing of culture and community. Now, if you're offended by the words that I said, I apologize. I mean, you can comment in the section below, but whatever. But look, I'm just gonna give it to you straight and raw, because I'm not locked behind words. I'm not locked behind things. Because when it all comes down to everything, it's all about the preservation of life and how nature works, how God created everything. Because we got too many people in our culture right now asking God to do all this. See, matter of fact, back in the day when God wanted to be the ruler and governor of his people, the people didn't want him. They wanted their king. They wanted to have a king. They wanted somebody they could physically see and do things for them. But now you got everybody, oh, I need God to fix this, God to do that. It's God's fault I'm going through this. No. Mm-mm.
1 Samuel chapter 8, baby.
It's crazy. See, everything we going through right now is God's fault. Everything we need to go beg God. Now we want God, but what our ancestors didn't even want God when he was trying to be their sole provider. We can't even manage and control our houses. Everything that God did, he created and then set up, knew what it was going to be. Everything that you deal with in life right now is your fault. God ain't got nothing to do with that, because when he made everything, he created and everything was perfect and it had its order. He gave them the blessings and the cursings. If you do this, this is what you're going to reap. If you do that, this is what you're going to reap. So the bad and good is going on in your life. It's your fault. And at the end of the day, people got a problem because they don't want to be held responsible. They don't want to be accountable. God ain't got nothing to do with what you got going on in your life, because he told you what you're supposed to do. But everybody wants to put the responsibility on God. It's your fault. You're responsible for everything that happens in your life because he made everything and gave it to you to have dominion and power over. So you are responsible for the outcomes of your life because of your mishandling and your lack of accountability and responsibility. I dare anybody to blame God for what they got going on in their life. Because with every action comes a reaction.
Yes, indeedy. Yes. Oh,
And
man.
forget about this camera. I'm gonna switch over to my phone. Y'all can't be getting me hyped like this. Y'all better calm that down. I'm gonna be like some of them New York preachers. I don't get worried about. Hey, it ain't cursing. A curse is. I never pronounce curses on people. Me saying shit, damn, fuck, ass, crack, whatever, that ain't cursing. Them just words. But you gonna learn today. You gonna learn today. Because I hold everybody responsible for their actions, including myself.
That's it. That is it. Accountability.
Because I'm not about to feel guilty because, oh, you's a preacher's son and church and this, that. No, you're going to get all the realness from me. All of it. I don't care what you feel like. You get you get a little bit of respect. I'll try to water it down, but on this platform, if you don't want to hear it, don't come here. But you're going to get the truth. All of it.
Mm-hmm. All right, fellas.
We're trying to play pretty.
Hold on. No, Takara. Not unless you're talking the wrong. But no, if you're referring to me, no, that was Applebee's on Skyboat. No, I am not proud of the situation. But I did have fun.
All right, so we about to wrap this thing up. Everybody go ahead and give y'all final thoughts. And we'll go from there.
Let Chris go, because he hot sauce today, but
no, I'm about to switch over to my phone for this final thought. Y'all go ahead with it.
Mm-hmm. Let's go. Who's going first?
Chris, you want to go first?
I got it. All right. So check this out. Everything that I've said so far today about this whole situation, it all will boil down to accountability and responsibility. You have to hold yourself to a higher level than you hold others, because everything that you judge people by, you have to first judge yourself by. Stop adopting this bullshit doctrine that everybody's pulling out and just be real. Because at the end of the day, everything that happens in and around your life, the way you react, you have to answer for. So when it comes to arguments, if you want to run from them, but first approach them as men and women. Argue logic, not feelings and emotions. Truth is what you should be arguing. If everything that you're doing is based off of your justifications for your feelings, emotions, and personal opinions, rather than actual factual truth, unadulterated truth, look, just be real. Stop with the mess. Stop arguing mess, and just be real. Be accountable and be responsible. That's all I can say to you.
All right, let's go, Lee.
All right, I'm Lee. I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. No, I'm just playing.
All right.
All right.
I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. Oh, you just say bring your D.
No, go ahead, D. Go ahead, D.
All right. I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. Oftentimes, I have felt like being the bigger person has been highly overrated, but it's really not. If you do not have to stoop down to someone's level, don't do it. If you have stuff to lose, if you have a family to take care of, if you know that job is the only thing that's taking care of your bills, don't do it. That's all I can say. Just don't do it. Be smart.
All right. Well, I guess I'll go and look at guys right now, because there's so many different layers of war. I mean, we're in war. Chris said earlier about cutting off your water supply. I mean, look at the people in Flint, Michigan. Look at what they went through. I mean, you know, the adversaries that's coming at you and they cloaked in all adversarial garments, those are the ones that are easy to spot. But we have enemies amongst us that are really cloaked in love and friendship and trust and all these other things. And a lot of times they're so bold They can have a history of doing the wrong things to you, and yet and still they'll say they turned the other cheek. But let me just tell you guys, zebras do not change their stripes. Leopards don't change their spots. You know, what you get is really what you get, because the truth always comes out. And don't be a fool. You know, trust your gut instincts about things. Stop looking for closure on every single thing, because a lot of times looking for closure can have you in a closed casket. If you believe something in your gut, if you believe something in your gut, you have to trust that, because your gut is connected to your brain. It is like the backup hard drive to your brain. That's why they call it intuition. You have to be able to trust that. But you don't be a fool. Everything's not going to always be so peaceful. And if you really, truly, and honestly want peace, you got to make sure you're in shape to be able to fight the necessary fight, to be able to have the idea of peace in your life. And you cannot do that if you are afraid to lose. Listen, you're going to lose some battles sometimes. It's not about the battle at hand. It's about the culmination of all of the battles that you fight. If you just show up, do your very best, and you have the right things in place, you're going to win more battles than you lose. You're going to learn from those battles that you lost, and you're going to be victorious, and you'll win the war. And that's what it's all about. It's about winning the war. But you cannot be afraid to take an L. You cannot be afraid of failure. That's why you need to go out here. And if you have an idea about business or something like that, don't let other people tell you it's not a good idea, this, that, and the other. They're probably mad at you because they didn't think of it first. Half the time they'll tell you, hey, look, I ain't even thinking of, man, that's a bad idea. And then they'll take your idea and go do it, and you'll be upset. You'll be mad. You know somebody, or you personally have experienced that. So at the end of the day, stop worrying about falling and concern yourself with falling forward, just like a running back, because you'll look up, and at the end of the game, you'll have 100 yards.
All righty. So the one thing that I'm going to say is this, right? Whether it's the Most High, the universe, nature, our ancestors, spirit guides, whatever, they're going to require it of us. Literally. We are, regardless of whether you want to realize it or not, a part of this natural order. And we're not going to be able to continue to live outside of that natural order and think that there are not going to be some repercussions. Period. For as beautiful as nature is, it is just as violent. It's a time for everything. It's a time to walk away. It's a time to stand your ground. Literally. So, put on whatever it is you need to do to prepare. Go ahead and prepare. Hold yourself accountable. Be responsible for yourself. It's literally what it boils down to. We about to start getting into some really deep conversations. Or whatnot. When I say deep conversations, I'm talking about those conversations that I've been trying to stray away from.
Thank everybody.
It's about that time. And it's going to be a battle, which is why I think that this conversation right now was perfect. Because in order to get to where it is that we need to get to, and there is going to be a significant battle. I'm not going to say war, but there's going to be a significant battle. There'll be a couple significant battles that we're going to have to prepare ourselves for. And we have to be strong enough, both men and women, to know what battles we need to fight and what battles we need to walk away from. Literally, at the end of the day. All right, so again, pre-orders for all those that have Kindle, ebook, any type of ebook. It is out, it is available. The release date is April the 26th. You know, we are out here, we are ready. I can't wait, because come April 26th, you're gonna know and you're gonna understand exactly everything it is that we've been talking about. Go get the book, Can I Be the Man? A Letter from Us to You. Go ahead, pre-order it now. If you don't follow us already, follow us on Facebook at KingNaib, KingNaib. Also on Instagram, king.nab, king.naib. Follow us, YouTube channel, comment, make sure you're looking out for Ateamtv, as well as Telemade Productions. You already know Buckeye Financial. And the man right there packing up and everything else. If you need any type of jersey, or now he don't have one on today, but if you need any type of jersey, clothing, of that particular nature, he got it. He got it. You can order it online. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Big shout out to the frequency. When I get back from here, let everybody know. We about to have some grown conversations via Radio International. I'm telling you, it's about to go down.
April the 6th, podcast, Go International.
It is about to go down every Tuesday, Thursday. Yeah, we're gonna have these type conversations from 8 in the morning Mountain Standard Time to 10. Like, get
Not
ready.
on Facebook Live. Now I'm streaming from Zoom on Facebook Live. It's gonna be an official podcast. April the 6th.
Yep, that's it. That's it. You already know I'm still gonna stream it on Facebook. That way y'all can see what's going on behind the scenes. But get ready. And we got a couple specials that we about to do for the ladies. That question a lot of y'all want to know, why do men cheat? We're doing a whole special on that. We're doing a whole special on that. Whole special, as well as a couple of others that I believe that need to be done. But at the end of the day, like I said, just get ready. We got a lot of big things going. Like I said, shout out to the Frequency Lady Latina, my man Gaddafi, the Coffee and Cream Morning Show. You already know what it is. So we about to shut it down. All right, the King has spoken. Peace.